I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. With us, my regular guest. I'm so lucky to have him. He's the Mickey Mantle of the intelligence world. That's what I think. He wrote this book for the Company of Shadows. Of course, I'm giving it away. He's a real whistleblower that suffered because he blew the whistle. I'm talking about Kevin Shipp. Kevin Shipp, thank you for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
Greg, it's always good to be on with you. You're at the top of my list. It's great to see you again.
The real whistleblower who's trying to, they're using to impeach President Trump, which they now have changed the rules just before he filed his complaint, or excuse me, the complaint maybe was written for him, or was written for him according to the president. And you're a whistleblower. Can you just explain why would somebody be a whistleblower? What protections do you get? And how you are different than this so-called CIA whistleblower?
Sure, Greg. This is not a whistleblower. Let's just start with that. This is a leaker. This person did not have anything to blow the whistle on. Everything in this document that was written not by this person but by attorneys is hearsay. There's no evidence in it whatsoever anywhere. It is not a whistleblower complaint. This whistleblower didn't go through the ICIG process like he was supposed to. He went directly to Adam Schiff to begin coordinating another attempt to impeach Donald Trump. And people have got to understand this is another shadow government, deep state operation, actually trying again to remove the president. And what they did, Greg, was real sly, because if they would have brought this person forward with this ridiculous garbage information that's pure hearsay, they would have been taken apart. The whistleblower, quote unquote, the leaker, would have been investigated. Everybody connected with this operation and plant would be investigated. So what they craftily did is they put him under the whistleblower statute so he couldn't be investigated. These mysterious sources he was contacted couldn't be investigated. That's their plan. That's what they did. And then they actually changed the whistleblower complaint form to include hearsay, which would have been thrown out of court. This is a deep state operation. It's like Russia collusion 2.0 or Ukrainian collusion 1.0. This is another a criminal operation to impeach Donald Trump.
I want to know, and I brought this up in my weekly news wrap-up, I want to know what the heck is going on with Gina Haspel. She's the head of the CIA.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. Let me get this straight now, Gina. The President of the United States puts you as the head of the CIA, the first woman ever, and this is how you repay him? Did you know about this guy? If you didn't, why? If you did, why?
Yeah.
What's going on with Gina Haspel?
Yeah, Greg, I've given that a lot of thought. Why is Director Haspel silent on this? Why is she not standing up for the president for what is a false leak, proven factually false leak? Why is she saying nothing? The fact that she is silent speaks volumes about her either ignoring this or her role in this. And I think people need to look into this. Did she understand this operation was going on? Was she behind this operation? Is she trying to conceal it? But the fact that she hasn't spoken up when she was appointed by the president, not only is shameful, but perhaps there's something else dark that's going on here.
To me, and I'm not, you got all this counterintelligence experience. I mean, you are an expert in counterintelligence. You at one time protected the at the time your boss, was it William Casey?
Yeah, William Casey. Yeah,
you had a high enough clearance to live in the house with
right.
His house with William Casey. So you had
right.
I don't know how high that clearance is. I would suspect it's pretty high.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm not you on this matter, but this whole thing looks juvenile. It looks poorly put together, hurriedly put together, shabbily put together. It looks sophomoric, juvenile. It looks almost stupid.
Yeah.
Can you comment on how this is if this is a CIA operation, and of course it is the CIA officer, how stupid is the CIA?
Well, this is typical. This is very similar, Greg, to a KGB or an SVR operation. And what they do is they use the same procedures over and over again. This is like the Russian collusion hoax 2.0. They're using the same playbook that they did with that, with false sources protected under statutes that will conceal their criminal activity. That's what they're doing here. It's the same operational plan. So we have essentially a CIA plant who was formerly, by the way, detailed to the White House as a CIA analyst with access to these transcripts by guess who? John Brennan, who's the center of the soft coup against President Trump. So this rascal who claims to be a whistleblower, was connected to John Brennan, was in the White House, did have access to these transcripts. This is not a whistleblower. This is a plant, and the evidence is right in everybody's under their nose to see this. It's plain as day. And what they do when they do these operations, Greg, they're so full of themselves, and they've used them so many times before, they don't realize how obvious and how stupid this looks. But the reason that people don't realize this is because the news media, the arm of the Democratic Party and the deep state, are lying, like Adam Schiff, like CBS and others, are lying about the facts. And so people themselves, if they watch these news outlets, don't realize how stupid this is and what essentially is another coup.
I wanted to bring up the mainstream media. President Trump, if you watch some of his press conferences with the Finnish president and also at the White House, I mean, he rips them a new one. He says they're corrupt. Good. He says, the Bidens are criminals. Good. You know it. You cover it up. You are fake news. This is why you're fake news. He is pointing the finger at them. Yeah, he should. I mean, this is so over the top with the fake news. They are. How is the fake news controlled by the CIA, by the deep state? Are they totally controlled? Because they look to be. They leave out information. They leave out big, big revelations, like the Inspector General of the State Department saying, yeah, there was collusion in Ukraine. It was with the DNC asking for dirt on Trump and Manafort. I mean, they left that out. They don't even talk about that.
That's correct.
So tell me your appraisal of what's going on with how important is the mainstream media lying, obstructing, covering, omitting. Did I say lying? Tell me how important that is.
You sure did. And I think that is right on target. There's a couple things going on here. We know that these mainstream news outlets like CNN are extensions, arms of the DNC. There's no question about it. But there's other things going on. The CIA has been manipulating the news media since before 1976, which is what was called Operation Mockingbird. I do a segment where I prove that. And now we have, and I want everybody to think about this, we have CIA Director of National Intelligence James Clapper on the payroll of CNN as a mockingbird to promote CNN's story. And then we have John Brennan, center of the coup, on MSNBC, even when he had his clearance, parroting the deep state mantra about this. So you have two high-level CIA DNI officials that are providing cover for CNN, MSNBC, and literally giving talking points directly from the Central Intelligence Agency to the American people. That is an op against the American people, Greg.
Brennan was on one of the shows, and he actually, to me, looked worried. I'm going to be talking to John Durham.
He should be.
He's worried. Why should he be worried?
Well, he should be worried because he was at the center of the soft coup against Trump. He's the one that took the dossier information, knowing that it wasn't corroborated, called it intelligence, labeled it intelligence, then leaked it to the press. And that's just the beginning of what he did. We know he hacked into the Senate computers, trying to get his hands on the torture report, and on and on and on. He should have been indicted a long time ago. This is probably his time. This is probably his moment. He's in way too deep, and he darn well knows it. And if Barr continues the way that he should, John Brennan will be indicted.
If Brennan's indicted, how much of a stretch is it for them to sit down with Johnny and say, listen, you're an old guy. You're going to be in jail for at least 30 years. Would you like to cut that sentence?
Yeah.
Could you tell us that your boss ordered you to do this? Can you confirm that for us, please?
That's exactly what they'll do.
Do you think he'll confirm that?
That's exactly what they'll do. And Brennan has a history of being spineless. He'll roll like a muffin from the oven.
Wait. Hold on. I want to get this. You think Brennan, if push comes to shove, and listen, I can cut 15 years off my sentence? Yeah. You think that he'll, I'm making this up, of course, but it's going to be something like that. Because, was he 60 something years old? I mean, you get
Yeah,
20.
the rest of his life in prison. Yeah,
You get 15 years. You just about that's like a 20-year-old getting 50 years.
yeah, right.
So, but you think John Brennan will roll over on the president, and he'll have good reason to?
I think John Brennan will roll over on James Clapper. I think John Brennan will roll over on James Comey. I think John Brennan will roll over on the coup itself when he's looking at the rest of his life in prison. Absolutely.
Will he roll over on Obama? Do you think Obama ordered this?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, he's gonna. This all comes down to saving his own skin. That's how they get information out of these people. He'll wind up in a cell. The former director of the CIA with Billy Bob poking him with a toilet brush. Does he want that for the rest of his life? Heck no. Self-preservation will always come first with these people, and yes, he'll roll.
And you have said in the past, in your estimation, there's no way this operation, this contrived frame job, this counterintelligence operation, they want to call it, that couldn't have happened without Obama. Will you explain that, please?
Oh, it could not have happened without Obama. Even Strzok in his text to Page said that the White House was monitoring what they were doing. And I can tell you, because I was involved in this myself, there is the CIA generates every single day what's called the Presidential Daily Brief, where all intelligence operations, especially the important ones, go to the desk of the president. The president reads it and is briefed by every operation the CIA is involved in at that moment. So Obama saw the PDB, Presidential Daily Brief. He saw that this operation was going on, and not only did he see it, he was approving it for happen. This all goes to Barack Obama. I just proved it with the Presidential Daily Brief. Ultimately, this has got to be exposed. Ultimately, he's got to be held accountable. We all know, I believe that he was a subversive president in the first place, but he has got to be held accountable. And there is evidence there that proves that indeed he not only knew about it, but he was coordinating it.
I want to come back briefly to the what you brought up, Strzok and Page. Do you know what else Strzok and Page brought up? And this is in the record. You can find it. Strzok and Page were talking to each other on the text, and Lisa Page was an attorney for Andrew McCabe, and Strzok was the #2 counterintelligence official at the FBI. So this is not some low-level people.
Right.
And they brought up the media leak strategy. That's what they called it.
That's correct.
The media leak strategy is.
Right.
Are we seeing that media leak strategy again? In what we saw in the first one, where they were using reports to confirm, this dossier is real. Look, it's in the reports.
Yeah.
Are we seeing that again with this media guy who is using the press to confirm some of the stuff he's in?
Oh, yes, we are. Once again, it's an operational procedure that they use just in the cases like you're talking about. So this whistleblower leaker plant got this information, false information, gave it to Adam Schiff, and then they created their own news stories about this. And then this whistleblower uses those news stories to try to add credibility to the garbage he's put in there. Yes, that's exactly what they did here.
You say they funneled misinformation, disinformation, stuff they wanted people to report so they could legitimize this story.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is common.
Yes. It's a common operational technique of propaganda. It's as old as the KGB, and it was used during the Russia collusion hoax, and they're just using the same operation. They're doing the same thing here.
I want to talk about this latest thing that I have you on about the IRS now, and the Washington Post is promoting, and they name several anonymous sources. I'm like, why don't you name 100 anonymous sources?
Yeah.
They don't have a single source for the story. It's about Donald Trump allegedly not allowing the IRS to do audits of him and Mike Pence.
What do you
think of that story?
It's hard for me not to laugh.
This is another whistleblower now.
Another whistleblower
that got information from somebody at the Treasury.
Yeah, secondhand information now, right? No evidence, anonymous sources, which is always a red flag. They're doing the same thing that this alleged whistleblower has done. Now they're trying to do it through the IRS. I hope people see how obvious this is. So obvious, like I said, I have to keep from laughing. But it's just another attempt to try to bring Donald Trump down with anonymous sources about his tax. I mean, you could have predicted that they're going to do this.
Rosenstein. I want to get at that in while I'm at it. I mean, there's a story breaking that Judicial Watch has got the goods on Rosenstein, saying that, I'm with Mueller. I mean, here's the guy supposed to be supervising him. You're not supposed to be with him. You're supposed to be trying to, get to the truth about what happened.
Right.
The documents with Judicial Watch, that the boss doesn't know about this, and I don't know what boss that is. What do you think about these documents that are revealed that with Rosenstein, who was the number 2 at the Justice Department?
Boy, as always, I say go Judicial Watch. First, they got to look into the fact that did Rosenstein perjure himself when he was talking about this? It is now clear that he was working with Mueller, which makes him indictable for this soft coup against the president. He is in a lot of trouble, possibly criminal penalties. Shame on him. But the evidence is coming out that he was involved in that entire thing.
Some people say that and I think the same thing, that something big is about to happen. This is why they're going crazy on Donald Trump right now, and they're just again, looks to me such a stupid, a poorly thought out operation. It looks desperate to me.
It is desperate. They're extremely desperate. They have something very, very deep to hide, Greg.
Why? What is your estimation of why are they doing this? Because my question, and Nancy Pelosi even came out and said, well, if we lose the House, it'll be worth it. What? You're pumping out this fake story, and this is going to be worth it?
Yeah, worth it, because it's going to keep a lot of them out of prison and reveal the extent. This goes all the way to the former president of the United States, Barack Obama, the connections with George Soros and globalism. It all leads to that, and they know it. That it is more important for them to stay out of prison than to win the election, which I think they're going to dramatically hurt for, because this is going to come out. There's going to be a landslide for Trump, and I think a lot of them are going to lose their seats. Of course, she doesn't care about that. What she cares about is what's really going on behind the scenes in this deep, dark, criminal, globally connected operation, including the Clinton Foundation, that they're trying to cover for.
Ooh, that's a good point. So that's why they're going crazy.
Yes.
They're afraid of prison.
Yes.
Wow. That answers it. And this is coming out right before the IG report that's going to come out about this FISA fraud. I mean, it's total fraud. I mean, Comey and all these other who else? There's multiple people. I think Andrew McCabe signed one. Comey signed 3, I think.
Yeah.
Some other people signed. Wow. I mean,
well,
I think Rosenstein signed one of them.
Yeah, and there's an interesting addition to this too, in that the IGIC, the Inspector General for the IC, or the ICIG, the one that changed the whistleblower complaint form to include hearsay. Hey, guess what? Turns out he was the attorney for the coup plotters and those who signed the false affidavits for the FISA reports. Oh. That's him. That's what he did. Can we see this crime unfolding? Yes. So he's behind this. He changed the whistleblower complaint form from direct information to hearsay. That would be thrown out of court. But now we see that he's complicit. He's complicit with the folks that falsified the FISA applications. He was their attorney to protect them.
Who is this? Who's the
Atkinson is his name. People can Google him. He's the intelligence community IG who changed the whistleblower complaint form.
And let me get this straight. My head's about ready to explode.
Yeah.
This is the guy that was involved with the coup plotters?
Yes.
With the FISA phony fraudulent applications to spy on everything Trump?
Yes.
This is the same guy.
Same guy. Oh, and the Noble Whistleblower Aid Foundation is helping this whistleblower, protecting the poor little teddy bear from having his identity aired. It turns out that Whistleblower Aid, the co-founder, is connected to George Soros. He was previously one of the leaders of the Southern Poverty Law Center. He's a complete leftist. He's been involved in several Soros organizations. And this is Whistleblower Aid, which, by the way, was created in 2017 specifically with the goal of trying to get whistleblowers to come out on Donald Trump.
You, in your book, you were a whistleblower. You blew the whistle on the CIA. So you're a real whistleblower, and I think I want to explore this a little bit. And I didn't know this. I mean, I knew it, but I didn't know it in the detail you gave it to me in the pre-interview. But you blew the whistle on the CIA. You did 2 things in the CIA. What are the 2 things you blew the whistle on the CIA? One of them you put in the book here, and let's start with this one. I mean, because you blew the whistle, they did poison you and your family. And when you wrote about it, the CIA, this is how they did you. in your
That's
book.
right.
This is one of the last chapters in your book.
That's
It's,
right.
stuff like this. I mean, it's all redacted.
That is all, Greg. That's all unclassified information. It's doctors' diagnoses of the poisoning of my family. It's environmental test reports to show there were toxins in the house. None of it is classified. And even Ronald Reagan put out an executive order saying the CIA can't black out information just because it's embarrassing to the CIA. So they broke the law in doing that. But I got them to the settlement table. My evidence was so strong. I had affidavits from people on the base. And so the judge ordered the CIA to a mediated settlement. We won. They signed the settlement, and then they turned around and said, if you don't take a fraction of this settlement, we're going to invoke the state secrets privilege and seal all your evidence. My response was, no, you signed that settlement agreement. You need to abide by it. A week later, they invoked the state secrets privilege, sealed all of my evidence, even from Congress. And that's when I decided, no. Oh, you don't just do this to a man. You don't do it to his family. So I came out and blew the whistle on the CIA's abuse of the state secrets privilege. And I took the unclassified documents that they tried to cover up, and I put them wide open on my website for everybody to see.
So this is a fabulous book. So people, just so you know,
Thank you.
I'm not pushing it because I don't make anything from this. I just think it's a fabulous book. It's a one-of-a-kind type publication, a former CIA officer talking about the deep state and about the shadow government and about all the evil stuff. And then your story is also in there, not just that, but all kinds of other stuff that you're an expert on the deep state. And you put all this stuff that was redacted out of the book at the end of you tell your story at the end of the book. You talk about the deep state and how big it is and how awful it is at the beginning of the book. But you put this in on your website, the stuff that was redacted. You also blew the whistle on agents that could be uncovered by the enemy.
Yeah, Greg, that was my first eye-opener. I found out, literally stumbled across it and then did an investigation. I found that any foreign intelligence service agent could go into the visa section in any embassy in the world and identify our cover people, our CIA cover agents in that country. You would think that the CIA would want to correct that, but instead, I get a threatening phone call by the chief of the division involved saying, drop this, drop it now, or else it's your career. Click. I delivered it 3 times to the office involved, including personally across the desk. 3 times they said they lost it, had never seen it. They erased it from the CIA headquarters server, and threatened me to drop it. So that's where this all started. I wind up on a base with my family being poisoned, and then the cover-up starts, and they invoke the state secrets privilege to try to seal all of this.
Well, to the agents, you're a hero. I mean, to the officers, you're a hero. I'm sorry, agents, not the right.
Humbly, I mean, I suffered a lot here, and that has a tendency to moderate your ego. But I did what I had to do.
Well, this is totally opposite from what they're doing with this quote-unquote leaker, whistleblower. Yeah. They're protecting. Yeah. Oh, they have to protect him. They didn't protect you.
No, they didn't. They tried to destroy me completely on every front. And that's what they do. I do a speech on this. They have a direct procedure to destroy, the CIA especially, to silence and destroy whistleblowers. I lay it out in black and white because I went through it. And that's what they did to me. So you got the guy whistleblower with false information, and they're protecting him like he's some kind of hero, which he's not, and they know he's not, giving him all kinds of protection. And even Charles Grassley comes out and said, well, Grassley knows better. And Grassley's protection of whistleblowers is a sham anyway, and everybody knows it. But they're protecting a false plant who is a leaker and trying to make the person look like a hero. Why? Because they're trying to get this coup done, and they have to get it done. They have to make this person look like a whistleblower, and they have to protect the person under the whistleblower statute so he's not investigated and indicted.
Do you think people are going to go to jail? Some people say, oh, nobody's going to go to jail. And do you think people are going to go to jail, and why?
Let's put it this way, Greg. People have to go to jail. These are criminals. They've committed crimes. We're all watching Barr. This is Barr and Durham. This is on their back. We know they've committed crimes. We've proved they committed crimes. That's out there. There's not even a need for additional investigation there. We know they've broken the law. So now all eyes are on William Barr. And it's interesting that Carl Bernstein, I'm not a real fan of, but he just came out recently and said Barr is about to drop the hammer, and some quote unquote, and some people are going to jail and it's going to be bad. Carl Bernstein said that about Barr's investigation. He said he's about to expose the deep state. That's what Bernstein said. We all hope, God willing, that's true, because if it's not, there's going to be probably 65 million people that are very upset that our justice system is nothing but a sham and our Constitution has been undone.
The Democrats should be upset by this. I mean, any Republican president could pull this. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody should be upset by this.
everybody
It
should.
should
My
never
goodness
happen.
gracious. No.
They talk about Trump asking for dirt on Biden, which he didn't. He's looking into corruption.
Right.
But there was a total op in the Obama administration, a coup. Hello.
Yeah, there was.
Unbelievable. Let's talk about your fortheloveoffreedom.net. That is your website.
Yes.
You have a Patreon account.
Yes.
The latest thing is you're talking about this whistleblower, CIA whistleblower, which you are
Right.
actually a legitimate CIA whistleblower, and the leaker you call them. You're talking about this on your Patreon. Talk about your Patreon account. What do you do with that? How do you get that information?
Yeah, thank you, Greg. I do a weekly show. It's on patreon.com/Kevin_Shipp, SHIPP.
I'll put the links up.
Okay, thank you. And I do programs that the mainstream media obviously will not report. We bring out the truth. We bring out the facts. I'm on Patreon because I have no advertisers. I'm not under any pressure from anyone to alter the facts. I'm completely free to put this information out there. And it is the Patreon sponsors that allow me to do it. So it's been very successful in bringing the truth out. I do that once a week on patreon.com/Kevin_Shipp. And that's kind of my primary focus.
Okay, good deal. And then also your book is on your website for the Love
Correct.
of Freedom.
Yeah.
This book could have been written last week. I mean, it's the game plan of what they do and how they do it. And you are someone who's on the front line, high security clearance, former CIA officer and legitimate whistleblower who was punished. You lost your pension over this, so you were punished.
Yeah.
I know I tell people this every time, but I want people to know that this is, when you blow the whistle, this is some serious, life-changing hardship on you to be a patriot. I mean, you're not just, I'm a patriot. You're a patriot who did something.
You risk everything when you do that. That's right.
Yeah. You have my complete respect and admiration.
Thanks,
I
Greg.
appreciate having you on to let us know what's going on. Kevin Shipp, the website, which I'll put the link up, for theloveoffreedom.net, the Patreon channel, I'll put that link up as well. I want you to know he's got a donations page. You should go to theloveoffreedom.net. It's not a highfalutin web page. It's high tech. You got this on a Spartan budget. I realize that. You scroll down, you can see a snail mail address, you can see a crowdsource, you can see Patreon. Yes, you can see the Patreon. You can also see a PayPal. Or many ways you could donate and keep Kevin Shipp going, including that snail mail address. Kevin Shipp, thank you for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
Greg, thank you so much. Always a pleasure.